Okay, so for number one, what I like to start with is dividing the numbers by their variables. So we can start with all the x's. So we have 2x plus 4x and plus x. And then for the y's, we have negative y minus 3y. And then we have just a negative 2 that has no variable, so we can just put that over here. So now we get to solve these. So 2x plus 4x equals 6x. Ooh, 6x, but then plus another x, that's going to be 7x. And then for our y's, negative y, which we can just see as negative 1y, they mean the same thing, minus 3y is negative 4y. And then that negative 2, we can't do anything because it doesn't have any variables, so our final answer is 7x minus 4y, oops, that's a y, equals, actually here, and negative 2. And that is our answer for number one. Okay, so for number two is a little different because you need to like distribute. So first, 3 times 2x is 6x. And then 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And again, we can just look at this as negative 1. It means the same thing. So that can be, that's just going to turn into negative 2x minus 2. And then these are just, you don't need to distribute because they're all alone. Plus x and minus 3. Okay, now I'm just going to do the same thing that I did up here, where you just separate them into their variables. So now we have 6x negative 2x and x. Okay, and then we have no y's, so we can just separate them into single numbers. So we have negative 9, negative 2, and negative 3. Now we're just going to do the same where we add them together. So 6x minus 2x is 4x plus 1x is, because you know that means that, is going to be 5x. And then negative 9 minus 2 is negative 11, and then minus 3 is going to be negative 14. And then you just put those together. 5x minus 14. And that is our answer. Okay, now this last one gets a little complicated. So first we're going to distribute, and from there you get 3 over 4x. And then, so when you multiply this, it might seem a little weird because there's 4, but you can really just put it, because you know when we multiply fractions, we put it over 1 because that means the same thing. And that's going to give us 12 over 4, but I just like to simplify that. So we can just put plus 3 because 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then, so that takes this away. And now we have negative 5/6 times a fourth. And again, we're just going to multiply right across. So that's minus over 24. And then lastly, we just have negative 5 over 6 times negative x, which is plus 5 over 6x. Okay, so now you might think you can just add them together, but we can't because our fractions have different denominators, so we need to change that. So we can take 3 over 4 and 5 over 6, and we can multiply them by 6 over 6 and 4 over 4, so that we have the common denominator of 24, and that also matches our fraction 5 over 24, so it just makes it easier. So we have 18 over 24, and then we have 20 over 24. Okay, so now I'm just going to rewrite it out so I can stay all organized. So now we have, oh, actually we can just add these two together because they both have x's in front. They both have that same variable that I was talking about earlier. So that gives us 38 over 24 x plus 3 minus 24. Okay. So now lastly, we're going to take this right here and subtract 5 over 24 from 3. So we can just take 3 times 24 and just subtract it by 5. So what we're going to do is, actually we can just simplify it right away. So it's going to be 2 and 19/24. So then you just lastly, we're going to make this a proper fraction. This last one, it's not going to be improper. So we have 1. Oh, so actually I'm just going to simplify it. So we can do 1/7 over 12. And then we can do plus 2 19 over 24. And there we go. That's our final answer. And what I did is, because if you just simplified this, it was 1 and 14 over 24, and I just simplified it, so it saved me some room to write my answer. So I could just do this and divide it by 2 to give us 7 over 12. And there we go.